Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Today we're reading from the book of 2 Samuel, chapter 9. Let's focus on verses 3 through 7. So the king asked, "Is there anyone left of Saul's family I can show the kindness of God to?" And Ziba said to the king, "There's still Jonathan's son, who's lame in both feet." And the king asked, "Where is he?" And Ziba answered the king, "You'll find him in Lo-debar at the house of Machir, the son of Ammiel." So David had him brought from the house of Machir in Lo-debar. Mephibosheth, son of Jonathan, son of Saul, came to David, bowed down to the ground, and paid homage. David said, "Mephibosheth." And Mephibosheth answered, "I'm your servant." He said, "Don't be afraid," David said to him, "since I intend to show you kindness because of your father Jonathan. I will restore to you all of your grandfather Saul's fields, and you will always eat meals at my table." In 1932, Franklin Roosevelt made a speech in Pittsburgh advocating restraint in government spending. But 4 years later, he wanted to speak there in favor of government spending. And he asked one of his advisors how he could manage an about-face without seeming like a flip-flopper. Well, the advice was straightforward. Deny you made a speech in Pittsburgh in 1932. Remember life before the internet when people could check these things? Politics. Well, I think I speak for us all when I say we need leaders whom we can trust will keep their word. David did not govern the Washington, D.C. way. When he made a promise to Jonathan, he kept it. David could easily have denied the private conversation, said he'd been impetuous, or he could have argued that national security overrode personal agreements. But no, David honored his word, and one greater than David offers the same to us. Perhaps you've already begun to see the parallel of this story with the offer of salvation that Jesus extends to all of us who would accept his grace. David offered Mephibosheth protection, provision, and a position of importance. Romans chapter 5, verses 6 through 10. "For while we were still helpless, at the appointed moment, Messiah died for the ungodly. For rarely will someone die for a just person, though for a good person perhaps someone might even dare to die. But God proves his own love for us, and that while we were still sinners, the Messiah died for us. Much more then, since we have now been declared righteous by his blood, we will be saved through him from wrath. For if, while we were enemies, we were reconciled to God through the death of his Son, then how much more, having been reconciled, will we be saved by his life?" Romans 5, verses 6 through 10. We can never appreciate David's commitment of love unless we understand the source of it, the author of love. The Messiah, the Son of David, whom David calls my Lord, he has extended his "do not be afraid" to us, spiritual Mephibosheths. The first principle for grappling with the marvel of God's love is to realize that he has no personal benefit in loving us. Our presence can't advance his worth. There's absolutely no reason why we should be eating continually at the king's table, and yet we are. And if we have any sense, we won't be able to understand it either because it makes no earthly sense. We must simply receive his grace and be thankful to live in his presence, and then invite other people who need salvation to join us. I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. You know, Groundworks Ministries operates entirely through financial donations from faithful people like you. And if you're being ministered to through the Bible teaching of Groundworks Ministries, you know we really need your help. And you can help us reach this generation with God's Word by donating to Groundworks Ministries today. Donating is secure and it's easy at our website, and we really need your help. There are things that we want to do, ways that we want to expand our reach, but we can't do it until we have the resources. So check us out at groundworksministries.com.